Christina Taylor Greene, Rachel Scott, Mark Taylor, and Brian Anderson. These names may not mean anything to you, but these are just the very few names of many, many teenagers that have died because of gun violence. In a single year, 3,012 children were killed because of gunfire. That is one child every 3 hours, 8 children every day, and more than 50 children per week, all because of guns. And that's not even including everyone, that's only kids. If you include every American, each year 30,000 total people are killed and 65,000 are injured. In fact, 16,555 deaths are caused because of accidental guns. The United States Constitution states that every citizen has the right to bear arms in the Second Amendment. However, the federal government gives the state power to rule laws, so it's different in each state. In the state of Pennsylvania, you must be 18 to obtain a gun before you buy a gun, and they do a background check on you. Well, technically speaking, that means an 18-year-old that goes to Upper Dublin High School could bring a gun to school. The people that support having guns for everyone say, we have the right to defend ourselves. But riddle me this, would you need a gun in public if no one else had one? And is it ethical to do absolutely nothing about the thousands and thousands of deaths that take place in the U.S. each year? I believe that citizens of the United States should be able to have a gun, but should only have 8 to 10 bullets and should be left at home and should not be taken out in public. As it clearly leads to a higher murder rate, guns are passed down to kids and they can fall into the hands of the wrong person. So what is gun control? Gun control, if you're pro-gun control, then that means you want stricter laws on guns, and if you're loose gun control, that means that you don't want the government to control guns as much. In my case, I'm pro-gun control. Right now, the status quo with guns control varies in each state because the state rules. In most states, it's 18 or older and you can have a gun and you need a permit. And other states, they do a background check on you. In the state of Pennsylvania, you need to be 18 and they do a background check on you before you get a gun. A background check is, let's say you are a criminal and you committed a crime and you want to buy a gun, and they do a background check on you and they say, oh, this person has been violated of a crime, then you can't have a gun. The Second Amendment states the right to bear arms, which allows every American citizen to hold a gun. So the Second Amendment is what holds everyone to, it's allowing people to have a gun, because if someone says you can't, then that's unconstitutional because it violates the Second Amendment. A huge reason why we need to be pro-gun control is because more guns lead to a higher murder rate. Of 306 homicides in Philadelphia last year, 244 of them were committed using guns. Take those 244 away, and you're left with 62. Each year, 15,000 kids are severely injured by guns, and a total of 3,000 are killed. Compare that to countries like Japan and Britain, where the gun law is much stricter. In Japan, there were 0 deaths, and in Great Britain, there were only 13. Just, those states clearly set a model. If they say strict gun law, here we don't have it strict, and there's much more deaths. Since the Arizona shooting that just took place in January, there have been 2,405 Americans shot dead since, and that was only in January, so 2 months ago. If you include every American citizen, 100,000 shootings take place in America each year. That's 274 every single day. Also, an increase in gun ownership fuels the secondary economy, which means that if an adult has a gun, then they pass it down to a youth. The Virginia Tech shooting is a perfect example of this that took place back in 2007. A man named Sung Hyu Cho had a gun, 2 guns, and went into Virginia Tech and just went on a massive shooting spree. He, in total, killed a combined 32 students and faculty members. This was a very tragic part for Virginia Tech. Eric Thompson was the gun provider for the shooting. He had an online gun store and provided guns to all different types of college students. He believed that it was good for college students to have guns on campus, and he thought they needed protection. He was also involved in other school shootings, and he did not think that it was disrespectful at all whatsoever. Like, seriously? Someone just killed a bunch of people, and he provided the gun and said that there was nothing wrong with it. The Tucson, Arizona shooting is another good example. Jared Loughner attempted to kill Senator Gabrielle Giffords and shot her in the head. Miraculously, she survived, but Jared Loughner ended up killing 6 other people. One of them including Christina Taylor Greene, a 9-year-old girl just wishing to go meet a role model in Arizona. She could have possibly been a future leader of America. At the age of 9 and you're visiting senators, she must have a lot of ambition, but her life was taken away just because of guns. In the state of Arizona, you were allowed to have 31 bullets in your gun. That's just way too many. An MSNBC analyst named Lawrence O'Donnell interrogates the Republican senator of Arizona and completely just shuts him down. And video.
When Jared Loughner, by federal law, enacted by the Democrats 10 years earlier, would not have been allowed to get his hands on a magazine that held 30 bullets. He only would have been able to fire 10, then he would have had to reload, and those heroes who stopped him when he tried to reload would have stopped him after firing 10, and more citizens of Arizona would be alive today in your state if that magazine held only 10 bullets. I'll ask you again, do you wish Jared Loughner's magazine only held 10 bullets instead of the 31 that he fired?
And I will tell you again, sir, that I wish he had not had a gun at all. And
so you're not going to answer that question about the magazine.
If you'll answer me the question about the magazine. I will on one basis. Will you answer the question? You said that the police officers miss all the time. Will you say that you're glad that there were no police officers there that day?
No, I will not say that. But
all right, then I will not
say
that.
Your hypothetical might have been helpful, might not have been helpful. But now consider my hypothetical. It's 2003. He can only fire 10 bullets. Arizona would have been better off, right? Your constituents in Arizona would have been better off if Jared Loughner, by law, could only fire 10 bullets.
See, I think that presupposes that he couldn't have changed clips or all kinds of things.
He couldn't change clips because the colonel was there to stop him, because those heroes in that parking lot were there to stop him. We saw him try to change clips, and he couldn't do it. That's what stopped him.
Well, I give every credit to those who stopped him, but I will say to you again that to blame the gun rather than the individual is why we continue to have these kinds of problems. I blame the
individual for the first 10 bullets. I blame the law for the next 21 bullets that he fired.
That quote by Lawrence O'Donnell is probably one of the best I've ever heard. I blame the first 10 bullets on the man, and I blame the next 21 on the government. Why would you need 31 bullets to defend yourself? If someone came into your house, do you honestly need 31 bullets to kill the guy? No, obviously not. It's stupid. A third example why guns are bad to come out in public is because they can fall into the hands of the wrong person. A perfect example of this is the Columbine Massacre that occurred April 20th, 1999. Now, most of us don't remember this because we were probably just 3 years old. But this went down as one of the most horrific school shootings of all time. 2 kids at Columbine High School named Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were crazy. And they got guns, bombs, and all types of weapons, and pretty much invaded their school and shot and just killed in total 12 students, 1 teacher, and the 2 killed themselves. During this, they started from the cafeteria, and people are eating lunch, all the students. So imagine you in school eating lunch, and then all of a sudden you see 2 crazy kids come in and start shooting people, and just start bombs all the way in the cafeteria. They're pretty much going through school. So imagine this in Upper Dublin High School. You're in class, and 2 kids are going just across school. And they make an announcement, oh, there are 2 kids with guns, and you guys got to protect yourselves. During this, a biology teacher was shot, and he was dragged into a room. Could you imagine if a teacher was shot and dragged into your room, and you're just sitting watching a teacher bleed to death? It's horrible. And technically speaking, if you're 18 in Upper Dublin High School, you could obtain a permit and carry a gun. So technically, someone could bring a gun into school. So we need a strict gun law because obviously there's stretches around it to bring it other places. The Ronald Reagan assassination attempt that occurred in 1981 was another crazy person who obtained a gun. Ronald Reagan was shot in his left upper arm and he was shot in the left upper arm and it rushed to his chest and he was rushed to the hospital. The press secretary was shot in the head and ended up dying, and our president was almost killed. How many shootings have to happen in order for the government to change the law and to make gun laws more stricter? A president was almost assassinated, and there have been numerous school shootings. What else has to happen in order for the gun law to be more stricter? So do we really need guns? Do we need 31 bullets in our gun? Do we need to bring them out in public? If we bring them out in public, and let's say, if we change the law and say that we can't bring them out in public, you wouldn't need to defend yourself in public because no one else has a gun. It is clear that guns clearly lead to a higher murder rate in the United States, and it has been proven in other countries if you make the gun law more stricter, less deaths occur. And less children and adults will be killed each year. There should be a stricter gun law. Obviously, cops and law enforcement should have guns, but regular citizens in the United States should only be allowed to keep an 8 to 10 bullet gun in their home and should not be able to take it out in public. A great quote that I heard was a survivor from Virginia Tech named Colin Goddard. He said, "You'd think they would realize that all American citizens want to be sure that weapons are not sold to people who shouldn't get them. You would think this would reverberate. We need to tell them that there are some simple things that we could be doing. We're going to be here pushing this until it doesn't stop anymore." Thank you.